the cameras flashed, the crowd, they just froze.
Yeah, completely stunned.
And just like that, Hollywood had a whole new obsession.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what happens when an unstoppable 80-year-old icon suddenly hits the brakes?
It creates this incredible emotional contrast, right?
Yeah.
Between that dazzling, untouchable image of Dolly Parton and the really quiet, painful reality of her recent struggles.
Exactly. Welcome to StarScope Report.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
Right, from red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And for today's deep dive, our mission is to unpack a massive stack of sources. We're looking at entertainment reports, country music news, health updates,
all detailing a really turbulent timeline for Dolly Parton across 2025 and 2026.
Yeah, the headline story dominating everything right now is Dolly Parton surprising fans after recent health concerns.
Which, as we'll see, naturally connects to how she's turning personal tragedy into this massive multi-industry comeback.
Right, involving Broadway, truck stops, and a really surprising connection to the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce wedding.
Which we will definitely get to. But first, let's talk about the breakdown that forced this whole pivot. I mean, we're talking about the total cancellation of her highly anticipated Las Vegas residency at Caesars Palace.
Right, the Vegas shows.
Yeah.
Which, they were already postponed from late 2025 to September 2026.
Yeah, and now just completely called off.
It is a massive shock to the industry.
Yeah.
But when you look at the specifics from the sources, specifically her updates from Healthline and her own social media videos,
Yeah.
it reveals a severe 3-year battle with her health. This isn't just like typical fatigue from touring.
No, not at all.
We are looking at a cascading failure of biological systems. Her immune system and her digestive system, as she put it, got all out of whack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and her doctors are currently trying to rebuild those foundational systems from the ground up.
And, add kidney stone complications to that list.
Ugh, yeah, that sounds incredibly painful.
It does, but she addressed it in the most classic Dolly Parton way possible. She literally joked that doctors dig more stones out of her in a year than the rock quarry in Rockwood, Tennessee.
That is just a brilliant PR strategy.
It really is. She gives you a punchline so you don't focus on the pain.
Right. But we shouldn't let that obscure the medical reality. She's dealing with really intense side effects from her treatments.
Like the vertigo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She used the phrase swimmy-headed to describe the dizziness. And when you consider the sheer physics of her performance persona, vertigo is a career-halting condition.
Oh, completely. And she actually pointed that out explicitly in her video.
What did she say?
She said, "I can't be dizzy carrying around banjos, guitars, and such on 5-inch heels. Not to mention all those heavy rhinestone outfits, the big hair, my big personality."
Which is hilarious, but also so true.
Right. It makes you realize that being Dolly Parton is basically an extreme athletic event.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, a rhinestone coat alone can weigh 30 or 40 pounds. You cannot balance that on 5-inch heels while experiencing a loss of equilibrium.
No, the mechanics of her performance require absolute physical precision.
Yeah.
But there is a deeper layer to this physiological breakdown that we really cannot ignore. In March of 2025, she suffered a profound emotional trauma.
Yeah, this part is just heartbreaking.
Her husband of nearly 6 decades, Carl Dean, passed away at the age of 82.
They were married in 1966. I mean, for 60 years, he was this fiercely private anchor who stayed completely out of the spotlight.
While she played this larger-than-life global superstar.
Exactly. Losing that foundational support structure is just devastating, and we see it directly impacting her output.
Right.
She admitted on a podcast that she had to completely stop songwriting because she couldn't afford the luxury of getting that emotional right now.
And this is where the emotional and the physical intersect aggressively. Because grief is not just a psychological state, It is a physiological event.
How so?
Well, when you lose a life partner of 60 years, your brain signals a systemic threat. Your body floods with cortisol, putting your sympathetic nervous system into overdrive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that chronic stress response actively suppresses the immune system and disrupts the digestive tract.
So it's all connected.
Exactly. Her immune and digestive issues aren't happening in a vacuum. They're being heavily exacerbated, if not entirely driven, by the biological reality of profound grief.
I want to stop and look at how we, as the audience, process this because, Are we complicit in driving these icons into the ground?
That's a great question.
We buy the tickets, we demand the rhinestones, we expect the 3-hour shows. It feels like the public treats legacy artists like public utilities, like they are just supposed to be there dispensing hits forever.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's kind of like having a legendary high-performance classic car.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, where you're going.
You can't just slap a new coat of paint on it when the engine actually needs a total careful rebuild. Do you think we demand a level of immortality from our stars that actively denies them the basic human right to grieve and to just, experience biological aging?
Oh, we absolutely do. The parasocial contract we draft with celebrities is fundamentally flawed. Because Dolly Parton has been a cultural constant for over half a century.
Right.
So she operates as a fixed point in our collective memory. Acknowledging her physical vulnerability forces the audience to confront their own mortality.
Which people resist fiercely.
Exactly. The expectation is that she will simply push through the pain, but by publicly stepping back, admitting she is dizzy, and prioritizing her healing over ticket sales, she is unilaterally renegotiating that parasocial contract. She is setting a hard boundary.
And she is doing it with a lot of grace, too.
Generally.
In her video to fans, she said, "I will always love him and I will always miss him, but you would be surprised at how much your love and concern meant to me during that time. You have been a big part of my healing."
That is so incredibly sweet.
It is. And that's not even the wildest part of this whole timeline. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
Yeah, because setting a boundary and canceling Las Vegas did not mean she was liquidating the empire.
Not at all.
If she cannot physically stand on a stage to serve her fans, she is building entirely new infrastructure to reach them where they already are.
Let's talk about the travel stops.
Yes. Dolly's Tennessean travel stops. This is just a masterstroke of horizontal diversification.
Wait, horizontal what?
Horizontal diversification, basically expanding into a related but different industry. She is taking a historic 1974 truck stop in Cornersville, Tennessee, and completely rebranding and expanding it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with the flagship launching in the summer of 2026.
And her rationale is deeply tied to her life experience. I mean, she spent decades living on a tour bus, traversing the interstate highway system.
Right, she knows that.
Exactly. She said she wants to create a place that feels like a welcoming home to recharge travelers. And of course, you can't have a travel stop without coffee.
Actually,
She partnered with Community Coffee to launch the Cup of Ambition line,
a direct tie-in to the song 9 to 5.
which is brilliant. It features light, medium, and dark roasts, launching June 24 at the Nashville travel stop with plans for nationwide expansion.
And notice the brand synergy here. Community Coffee's representative, Donna Sorge, emphasized that Dolly embodies hard work, warmth, and genuine connection.
The alignment is seamless.
It really is. But more importantly, look at the underlying economic mechanics. Travel stops are massive, high-volume retail hubs. By injecting capital into a logistics corridor like Cornersville, she is creating jobs and stimulating the local economy in an overlooked rural area.
Like what she did with Dollywood.
Exactly. We saw the exact same mechanism 40 years ago when she opened Dollywood in Pigeon Forge. She transformed a quiet Appalachian town into a multi-billion-dollar tourism engine.
Okay, look, I have to challenge the strategy a bit.
Okay, go for it.
She is a legacy artist. She is one Tony Award away from an EOT.
True.
I have to be honest, slapping her name on a highway truck stop and a bag of dark roast coffee sounds dangerously close to a cheap cash grab.
You think so?
Well, yeah, it's like a master chess player who, upon realizing a piece is blocked, doesn't forfeit the game but simply opens up a completely new side of the board. But is she opening the right board? How is this not just diluting a legendary musical legacy into a roadside novelty?
I get why you'd think that. And if this were a different artist, say a highly exclusive pop star or a classical virtuoso, it absolutely would dilute the brand.
Right.
But the core mechanic of Dolly Parton's brand has never been exclusivity. Her entire artistic identity is built on blue-collar accessibility.
Oh, that makes sense.
She writes anthems for the working class, for the 9-to-5ers, for the people driving the trucks. So building a travel stop isn't a departure from her legacy. It is the physical brick-and-mortar manifestation of it.
Wow.
She is literally providing fuel and infrastructure for the exact demographic she has spent 60 years writing songs about.
So it isn't diluting the brand, it is fully monetizing the lifestyle of her audience.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the ultimate question of legacy. How does an artist keep their music alive and profitable on a stage without having to physically put on the 5-inch heels and sing the songs themselves?
Well, you institutionalize your intellectual property, you build an annuity, and in the entertainment world, that means you take your catalog to Broadway.
Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist involving a $26 million wedding that nobody saw coming. But first, let's talk about Broadway.
Yes, Dolly. A true original musical.
The timeline provided in the sources is incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, previews begin December 7th, 2026.
Oh, wow.
At the St. James Theater in New York City.
That is a legendary venue.
It really is.
Wow.
And the official opening night is January 19, 2027.
Wait, isn't that her birthday?
Exactly. It is not a coincidence. January 19th is her 81st birthday.
That is incredible.
And the business mechanics of Broadway are ideal for an aging legacy artist. You invest heavily in the capital expenditure up front, writing the book, designing the show, securing the theater.
Right.
But once the show is open, you collect royalties on ticket sales 8 times a week to thousands of people indefinitely.
Yeah.
It generates massive recurring revenue while you sleep.
And she is doing this right. I mean, this isn't a vanity project handed off to amateurs. She assembled a top-tier creative team.
Oh, absolutely.
You have Bartlett Sher, a Tony-winning director who also directed the Nashville premiere run. You have Mandy Moore handling the choreography.
Nice.
And Dolly co-wrote the book with Maria S. Schlatter, tracing her entire life from the Smoky Mountains to Hollywood.
So she is very involved.
Deeply involved. The music features all the massive hits like Jolene and I Will Always Love You, but she actually wrote brand new songs specifically for this production.
Wow, new songs.
Yeah. She said this isn't just about the external sparkle, it's the real story of what she has lived, lost, and loved.
And by co-writing the book and the new music, she is establishing absolute narrative control. She is preempting any unauthorized biopics by cementing the historical record of her life in her own words.
I look at this entire pivot like a master architect.
Okay.
She's stepping back to watch others build the blueprints she spent 60 years drawing. It's like a tech company moving from a hardware model to a software licensing model.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Her physical body, the touring apparatus, that's the hardware. Right now, the hardware is experiencing severe supply chain issues with vertigo and immune complications.
Right.
So instead of forcing the hardware to work, she's pivoting to software licensing.
Yeah.
Broadway, the travel stops, the coffee brand, that is all her intellectual property, her software, running the system and generating revenue without requiring her physical presence. But, and here is my pushback, if the core product is Dolly Parton, can a biographical musical where she isn't the one performing actually work? Or is this just going to feel like a high-budget tribute band? Like, is the magic in the songwriting, or is her physical charisma the actual product?
That is the structural risk of any jukebox or biographical musical. The physical charisma of Dolly Parton is undeniable. It is a lightning-in-a-bottle phenomenon.
Total.
However, the architecture of her songwriting is exceptionally robust.
Yeah.
Songs like Coat of Many Colors or Jolene, they rely on deeply ingrained, universal emotional truths that transcend the original performer.
That's a good point.
Her physical presence was the vehicle that delivered the songs to the world, but the songs themselves are structurally sound enough to carry the narrative independently.
That transition from hardware to software also keeps her deeply relevant across generations.
It really does.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this relevance is perfectly illustrated by the massive pop culture collision we saw happening simultaneously in these sources.
Oh, yes. This is wild.
While Dolly is finalizing Broadway scripts and travel stop menus, the rest of the world was hyper-fixated on a wedding. Specifically, the marriage of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
A cultural event with an astronomical economic footprint.
Huge. They threw a massive celebration at Madison Square Garden.
Which is just like an unimaginable scale for a wedding.
Right. But instead of just a lavish party, they celebrated by donating $26 million across 20 different charities.
Incredible.
And $2 million of that donation went directly to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library.
We really need to look at the mechanics of the Imagination Library to understand why a $2 million capital injection is so vital.
Yeah, break that down for us.
This isn't a charity that just drops off a box of used books at a local school. It is a highly complex, global logistical operation.
Right.
They manage the printing, sorting, and direct-to-home mailing of millions of physical age-appropriate books every single month.
Every month.
Every single month to children around the world from birth to age 5. Running a global postal supply chain of that magnitude requires immense, continuous liquid capital.
That donation is just a huge nod of respect from the current biggest pop star in the world to the woman who essentially drafted the blueprint for female artists navigating the business of music.
It really is a passing of the torch in a way.
And Dolly's reaction to the 2 million was flawless. She thanked them graciously on social media, but then immediately dropped a joke.
What'd she say?
She said she hopes to be gifted Taylor and Travis's firstborn child because that kid is going to be so special.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. It shows that even amidst the severe physical trials and the grief of losing her husband, the sharpness of her wit remains entirely intact.
Completely intact.
She never drops the ball on her public persona.
So let's step back and look at the sheer scale of the narrative arc we just walked through. You have an 80-year-old icon who gets hit with the devastating loss of her husband of 60 years. The biological shock of that grief exacerbates a multi-year battle with immune system failures, digestive issues, and vertigo from kidney stone treatments.
It's just wave after wave.
She is forced to cancel a massive Vegas residency and step away from the only job she has known for her entire life.
And, for almost anyone else in the entertainment industry, that sequence of events is a full stop. It is the beginning of a quiet, hidden retirement.
But she takes that systemic breakdown and completely engineers a new business model. She launches a travel stop empire to serve the logistics network of the working class. She rolls out a national coffee brand.
She writes the book and new music for a Broadway show to institutionalize her legacy on her own terms, turning active performance labor into passive licensing revenue.
And she is simultaneously pulling in multi-million-dollar donations from megastars to fund her global literacy supply chain.
It completely redefines the concept of a career roadblock. The physical limitations of her body forced a strategic bottleneck. But instead of fighting a losing battle against biology, she rerouted her intellectual property into new distribution channels.
For you listening to this, I want you to think about the bottlenecks in your own life or career. The moments when your primary hardware, whether that's your energy, your current skill set, or just your physical circumstances, refuses to cooperate.
Yeah, we all face those moments.
Dolly's timeline over these past couple of years proves that a setback doesn't have to be a full stop. Reinvention isn't about slapping a new coat of paint on a broken engine. It's about looking at your assets and changing the fundamental strategy when the old way no longer serves you. It can be an opportunity to build a different kind of stage.
It requires a ruthless, clear-eyed assessment of your own limitations, coupled with the creativity to build entirely new systems that operate around those limitations.
Which leaves us with a critical question to consider moving forward. We are watching an 80-year-old woman fundamentally redesign what the final act of an entertainment empire looks like, building brick-and-mortar infrastructure and licensing Broadway shows to remain culturally dominant without ever having to step foot on a tour bus.
Right.
As biology inevitably forces all of us to transition from active labor to whatever comes next, how does this completely shatter our society's outdated expectations of what aging and retirement have to look like? Are we finally moving past the idea that physical limitations demand an exit from the stage, or are we just learning how to build better, smarter stages?
That is a fascinating thought to end on.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.